Have you ever felt that, in the United States, we can never really rest, even at home? Today, I want to show you what Switzerland does with the security that we simply gave up doing here and how this is grinding our psychology. It's not about statistics, it's about the tiredness of living on alert all the time while they live a peace that we forgot existed. If you also feel that something has changed and that our routine has become a constant surveillance, you are not alone in this perception. Let's talk about this silent collapse that no one is admitting to, but we are all feeling it. You know, that background noise? Not the noise of traffic or the TV on in the neighbor, but that mental noise that never seems to turn off here in the United States. I don't know about you, but I feel that, in recent years, we have developed a sixth sense that is, in fact, a giant emotional burden. It's a hypervigilance that we don't even realize we have anymore. Short pause to 2 seconds, just look at your routine. When you arrive at the parking lot of a market, do you just park and leave? Or, unconsciously, do your eyes sweep around? You check who is standing near the car, look at people's hands, choose the brightest path. All this on automatic. We learned to scan the environment all the time. We enter a restaurant and, unintentionally, we already locate where the emergency exit is. We lock the door of the house and, 5 minutes later, go back there to check if it really locked. The problem is that we have convinced ourselves that this is being prevented. We tell ourselves that this is the price of living in a modern and free society. But the truth, the one that we only admit when we put our head on the pillow and silence finally comes, is that this is exhausting. It is a tiredness that does not come out with a night's sleep, because it is the tiredness of the soul of those who never feel 100% safe anywhere. The sense of security in the United States has quietly collapsed. It wasn't an explosion, it was a slow leak. In the past, our home was our refuge, the place where the outside world did not enter. Today, the outside world enters through robbery notifications on cell phones, through security cameras that we watch through the app all day, through the fear of a strange car stopped on the sidewalk. We surrounded our houses, put alarms, lights with motion sensors, and, ironically, it seems that the more security technology we buy, the less safe we feel inside. It's as if we were living in a state of war with no soldiers on the street. It is psychological warfare. We look at our neighbor, and, instead of seeing an ally, we see an unknown. Is he dangerous? Is he armed? What is his political inclination? The social fabric, that alloy that held people together on the basis of trust, simply frayed. And what was left was this every man for himself disguised as freedom. What hurts me the most is to see that we stopped questioning this. We think it's normal to have to teach a 5-year-old what to do if someone enters school with bad intentions. We think it's normal to avoid certain neighborhoods or not walk at night, even if it's to take a walk around the block. But, I ask you, is this life? Is it normal for your body to be in fight or flight mode while you're just buying a gallon of milk? In today's America, peace has become a luxury commodity. If you have a lot of money, you buy a house behind high walls and try to pretend that the world doesn't exist. But for the vast majority of us who live real life, what was left was this noise. That invisible weight on your shoulders that tells you that you need to be alert, that you can't trust, that danger can come from anywhere at any time. And this is where the comparison with Switzerland really starts to hurt. Because when you see how they live, you realize that we haven't just lost physical security. We have lost the right to be at peace with our own routine. When I look at Switzerland, I try not to fall into the trap of thinking that it is a movie set or a perfect world. That's not it. They have problems, they have bureaucracy, they have gray days like any other place. But there is one thing they do that, for those of us who live in the American reality, sounds almost like science fiction. They decided that mutual trust is the foundation of their economy. While in the United States, we spend billions trying to protect ourselves from each other. There, they invest that same effort to ensure that no one has to be afraid of their neighbor. Do you know what's most impactful? It's not seeing the Alps or the cities clean, it is to see autonomy. In Switzerland, you come across children of 6, 7 years old, alone on public transport. They carry their backpacks, talk to each other, cross the street, and the cars stop. And the parents of these children, they are at home, or at work, with their hearts at peace. Now, stop for a little and bring this image to our reality here. If you see a 6-year-old alone at a train station in Chicago, Atlanta, or Los Angeles, your first instinct is panic. You think something terrible has happened? And this is where I wanted to ask you something with an open heart. Do you feel that this level of peace is still possible where you live? Or have you accepted that our freedom today is, in fact, that we all live in individual cells with increasingly high fences? Comment below if what I'm talking about makes sense to you, or if I'm being too pessimistic. I want to understand your current state. If you still feel that there is this community in your neighborhood, or if each one has become an island, I read every comment, because this is the thermometer of what we are really experiencing. The contrast is not because the Swiss are better human beings than we are. The point is that they have not given up on the social contract. Their safety is not based on fear of punishment, but on pride in belonging to something. That works. In the USA, we are very proud of our individuality, and that is beautiful. It is what built this country. But, at some point, this individuality turned into isolation. We stopped taking care of the neighbor's sidewalk. We stopped looking into the eyes of those who cross us on the street. We have outsourced our peace to the guns, the alarms, and the police, while Switzerland has kept the peace in the hands of the people. There, security is silent because it is omnipresent. There is not a car on every corner with the flashing lights to remind you that danger exists. What exists is the absence of fear. It's the real freedom of being able to walk without looking over your shoulder. And seeing this up close hurts, because it makes us realize that the United States has not lost security due to lack of money or power. We gave it up because we stopped trusting each other. I don't want to devalue the US. I love the opportunities here, the energy, the desire to grow, but we need to have the courage to admit that our emotional quality of life has been sacrificed. We exchanged the tranquility of a night walk for the comfort of an armored car or a condominium with armed security. Switzerland shows us that there is another way where safety is not a product you buy, but an environment you breathe. They have not given up on being a community. And us. Do we still remember what it's like to be one? We need to talk about one of the biggest lies we've been sold in recent years here. In the United States, the idea that if you work hard and make money, you'll finally have peace. We run, work overtime, jump from one job to another, always with that promise on the horizon that one day the effort will be worth it and I will be able to relax. But look around. He looks at the people on the subway, in the traffic at 6 in the afternoon, in line at the cafe. What you see is not the satisfaction of those who are building a future. What we see is an army of exhausted people trying just to keep their heads above water. Pause to 2 seconds. The silent collapse of which I speak is not only in the streets, it is in our pockets and on our table. We work more than any previous generation, but the money that comes in seems to have an owner even before it falls into the account. And it's not just about the price of rent or gasoline. It's about the fact that, in the United States, your work is no longer a means for you to live well and has become a tool for survival, pure and simple. We live in a cycle where routine no longer transmits tranquility. In the old days, having a steady job meant you could let your guard down. Today, having a job means that you have to fight twice as hard not to be run over by the cost of living, inflation, and the insecurity that everything can disappear tomorrow if you get sick. And this is where the example of Switzerland knocks on our door again, but in a way that hurts our pride. There, the work is also taken seriously. They are extremely productive. But there is a fundamental difference. Their system is designed so that work protects life, not so that life is sacrificed for work. In Switzerland, routine is not this emotional meat grinder. Their money buys time, buys silence, buys the certainty that, if something goes wrong, the social safety net will be there. Here, we feel that if we stop running for a second, the ground will disappear. We live with the constant feeling that we are an unforeseen event away from total chaos. This does something terrible to our psychology. When your job and money can no longer give you a sense of security, you enter a state of chronic anxiety. We wake up already thinking about the bills, we have lunch, checking the stock market, or the price of things, and we go to sleep calculating how much is left for the next payment. The feeling of getting there has been replaced by the feeling of, I can't fall. And this constant fear kills creativity, it kills patience with children, it kills our ability to be better neighbors. The collapse is silent because it happens inside well-painted houses, in neighborhoods that look perfect. But where people are having panic attacks in the shower because they don't know how they're going to sustain that standard of living for another 10 years, we gave up fighting for a routine that makes sense. We have accepted that living stressed is the American normal. But I ask you, what's the point of being the largest economy in the world if the people who support this economy can't sleep in peace? What's the point of having the biggest companies on the planet if the average worker feels like he or she is always owing something? In Switzerland, they understood that a strong economy is one that leaves citizens at ease. Here, it seems that our economy is only strong because it keeps us in a constant state of urgency and fear. We are not talking about politics or ideology. We are talking about humanity, of how our routine stole our soul. And I know that if you've made it this far in this video, it's because those words echoed somewhere inside of you. What we're discussing on this channel is not something you're going to see in the big newspapers, because they're too busy with the numbers. While we're concerned about people, if you feel that this kind of reflection is necessary, if you feel that the American people need to rescue this conversation about what really matters to our peace, I want to extend an invitation to you. Subscribe here to the channel. The silent collapse is not just a project of mine. It's a space for us to name these feelings that everyone is feeling, but no one has the courage to say it out loud. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so we can continue to unravel together what happened to our sense of security and, who knows, find our way back home. You know, there is a word that we hardly use anymore here in the United States. That word is serenity. We talk a lot about happiness, about success, about achievement, but serenity, that state of mind where you just feel that everything is fine, that the ground is firm, and that tomorrow is not a threat. This feeling seems to have become a ghost in our culture. And what Switzerland does, what really hurts to observe when you walk through the streets of Zurich or a small village in the Alps, is not material wealth. It is the peace that emanates from the simplest details. Details that we hear, simply give up. Fighting to have long pause 2-3 seconds, I keep thinking about what happened to our ability to relax. When did we accept that chronic fatigue and constant fear were the only possible companions on our journey? Switzerland is not a perfect place. I repeat this. But they have something that we treat today as if it were a billionaire's privilege. They have the freedom of mental silence. When a Swiss mother lets her son go to the park alone, she's not just saving time. She is exercising a human right to trust the world. Here, if we do this, we are judged, investigated, or live in a state of absolute terror until the child walks through the door back. This is not just a difference in laws or policing, it is a wound in the soul of our nation. We have become a society that can no longer close its eyes without feeling that it needs to leave one of them open, watching. And the impact of this on our psychology is devastating. We live on guard. And those who live on guard never rest. Those who live on guard cannot be a fully present father, cannot be a husband or wife who really listens, because a part of our brain is always outside, at the gate, on the street, on the next bank statement, in the next strange noise in the backyard. Silent collapse is, above all, the loss of our collective innocence. We look at the past, at that idea of the American dream where the doors were open and the neighbors were extensions of the family, and this seems like a memory of another life, of another planet. We exchanged this human connection for video monitoring systems. We exchanged the good morning in the elevator for the low look and the finger on the trigger of pepper spray or car alarm. And what Switzerland shows us, with that almost annoying calm of theirs, is that it didn't have to be this way. They decided that peace is worth the investment. They have decided that the well-being of the collective is the only way to ensure the well-being of the individual. We in the United States have been taught that our safety is our individual responsibility. Protect what is yours. Take care of your family. Be prepared. But no one warned us that carrying the world on our backs alone would break us inside. No one told us that our freedom, when disconnected from trust in the other, would become a prison of anxiety. What Switzerland does, and what we have stopped doing, is treating safety as air that everyone breathes, and not as expensive oxygen that you have to buy in individual cylinders so as not to suffocate. Sometimes, I find myself imagining what it would be like to wake up tomorrow in the United States and feel that same inner silence that one feels in Switzerland. Feeling like I don't need to be the sheriff of my own life 24 hours a day. To feel that if I falter, the world won't devour me. That connection, that feeling of belonging to something safe, is what we really lost, and admitting it hurts. It hurts because we love this country, we love the strength it has, but we have to be honest, our strength is being spent just so we don't fall apart. I don't want this video to be just another piece of content that you watch and forget about. I want it to be a mirror, that you look at yourself and ask yourself, how long has it been since I breathed without fear? The silent collapse will only stop advancing when we start naming these things, when we stop pretending that everything is fine and admit that we are exhausted from living like this. Switzerland is not our destination, but it is the reminder that there is another way of being human in society. A way where peace is not a luxury, but the starting point. We deserve better than just surviving today. We deserve the peace we were once promised, but that we let slip through our fingers while we were too busy trying just not to fall. Perhaps the first step to rebuilding this security is exactly this. Stop hiding behind bars and start talking about what we are really feeling inside. Because the truth is that, in this collapse, no one is alone, no matter how much we feel that way. It's time to stop treating this weight on our chest as something normal and face what has really been taken away from us. If this reflection touched you, click on the video that is appearing on the screen now so that we can take the next step in this understanding. I'll wait for you there to continue this conversation.